Hello and welcome to the Center for Self-Balance. Today we are going to talk about one of the best tools and one of the best the best designs and the best types of tools that I use with coaching clients, with therapy clients, with consulting clients, and even with friends. And I did not come up with this, although I've expanded upon it and I've made it fit to my needs, but this was created by a good author. His name was Richard Moss, and very amazing. And what it is he came up with a very simple design on where does our mind go when we're not present. You know, there's all this talk about Eckhart Tolle and Michael Singer, and there's author after author after author that are talking about being in the present moment, which I highly subscribe to. I'm a fan of all of those authors and many, many more. However, Richard Moss, I felt like, took us to another level, because what he's done here is he came up with a model that I have found that has worked for many, many years for me with everybody, including myself, is being able to identify where does our mind go when we leave the moment. I mean, that's a good question. It's like, if I lose my keys, I'd like to find where I left them, because if I have to lose them again, that might help me to find, hey, I've lost them there before. Let me check that out. That my dog runs out of the yard. I kind of like to know which way he goes. Does he go into the Smiths or the Johnsons or the Jacksons? Where does he go? So it helps me to be able to go, okay, there's probably a pretty good chance that I'm here once I understand where these places are. And Richard Moss came up with 4 places. So, and I'm gonna read you something that I wrote to kind of explain this, and just because I think it'll help us to kind of go through these 4 things. And I call this the experience of now, because we want to be in the now. Because when we're in the now, when we're in the present, even though it may just be for moments, what's happening there is we are experiencing, oftentimes, not limited to, and not all these words every time, but this is a good grouping of words. In the now, in the present, when we're in the present, when we were 3 years old playing in a sandbox just at our own delight, there was peace, oftentimes contentment, there's openness, a joy, a sense of authenticity, a sense of spontaneity and connection. So those are really nice words to be able to say, well, why would I even want to be in the present? Doesn't that sound pretty good? Doesn't that sound like a place you'd want to be as often as you can? Okay, so none of us, or most of us, are probably not moving to Tibet and moving into the caves to meditate 18 hours a day. Okay, so we're in the West. We love the West. It's fantastic. However, we're in the West. We have to find ways to be able to connect there on a regular basis. And this is where we'll talk about this in the future, more meditation and other techniques to get us. But first of all, let's go with Richard Moss's model is when we leave the present, where do we go? That's important. So the first place that we go, and these are in no particular order, and you'll notice as we go through it that our mind goes in these different places very quickly sometimes. So sometimes we'll go in one, and then we'll go in the other one, and then the other one. But the idea being is that none of them are in the present, and that they're all a message. We want to develop an inner calling that when we're not in these places, to get back to the present. Okay? So the first one we're going to talk about is the past. So the past can be anywhere from 2 seconds ago to any place in your lifetime, anywhere, where your mind goes. And what we're focusing here on is times when we get stuck and we start repeating a negative story to ourselves about a particular time or a particular negative feeling. So these are characterized by different feelings or different words that represent feelings in each of the areas. So I'm going to give you just a sampling, but there's a whole bunch more. So just know that if that isn't one that you relate to, there's a bunch. But oftentimes people report that when they go into the past, there's a feeling of resentment. There might be a feeling of guilt. There might be a feeling of longing, like nostalgic for, I wish it was this way again. Now we can also go into the positive, and the positives could be like really positive peak moments, peak memories, very nostalgic, very nice things that have happened to us in the past, victories that we achieved. But for reasons that we'll cover at another time, our minds are really trained, our old reptilian brains are really trained to go to the negative. So don't feel bad if yours does, because all of ours do. They all do. So there's nothing wrong if my mind goes to the negative. Doesn't mean you're a negative person. It means you're a human being. Okay? So the second place, so the past is one place. The second place is the future. So the future could be anywhere from 5 seconds ahead to infinity. It could be, what if this happens? What if that happens? Which could be some ambiguous location in the future. But when we go to the future in the negative tense, which again, same deal, we often go in the same place, that we often are feeling anxiety, we're feeling worry, we might even feel fear, apprehension, those types of worries. You can feel that there's a little bit of a, that makes me nervous to even think about going out there. But again, just like the past, the future is the same way. We can think about positive things in the future. If you're going to go on a really nice vacation coming up, you might start to imagine, hey, this will be great. I get to go do this, and that'll be fun, and we'll get to do this, and we'll do this, and we'll do this cruise, and this and that fun. However, even that can be too much. So if I lived in that state on a regular basis, well, how do you think the moment would start to look? I would start to compare to like, why can't we be there? Why I want to be here. I want to be there. You see, so it can actually, too much of the positive, if I do it unconsciously, can contaminate my moments as well. Okay, so those are two. The last two are a little bit more slippery. So the third one is others. So what is others? Others are places that I go inside my mind that have to do with anybody else that's not me. So if I'm upset with old people being drivers, that's an area. I might be upset with the Democrats. I might be upset with the Republican. I might be upset with teachers. I might be upset with the school system. What's wrong with the school system? I might be upset with it's absolutely unlimited to what the ego will choose to go get upset about. But in this context, what we want to remember is it's all the same. It's others. It's just others. My mind is going. Does that mean that I don't want to do critical thinking? No, that's precisely why we're doing this. Because when we can identify that we're getting caught in a loop that's just about others, that I've already created stories that have feelings and emotions negative that are attached to it, I can't do critical thinking. I'm not present anymore. I'm lost in a feeling. Okay? I think that's a song somewhere. No, hooked on a feeling. But that too. So, and the fourth place that we go to is myself. And myself is me. So when I think about, this is probably the slipperiest one of the bunch, because many of us, when we first look at this, we think, well then if I'm in me, well then who's me? We have to understand that the concept of me is just an idea of me. It's who I think I am. We don't really completely know who we are. We never really completely will. Does that mean we want to stop trying? No, we do. But when we hear ourselves saying things like, why does this always happen to me? What's wrong with me? Why not me? And I get caught in that loop. I'm in the myself/me quadrant. Okay? So again, I can feel good things here too. I can feel intense pride. I could accomplish something. I could feel good, etc., etc. But if I stay there too long, I'm not in reality. And that starts to interfere with the rest of my life as well. So to recap, so we know that our minds like to go into places. Richard Moss has helped us today to identify where these places are. So our task is to identify when our mind is going into the past, when it's going into the future, when it's going into the world of others, and when it gets caught in the world of me. And the first practice that we're going to talk about today is when you hear yourself spinning off on any one of those areas, say, oh, my mind has ran into the past. My mind has ran into others. Oh, my mind is running into to me or myself. And we do that because what we're doing is it's just like we were going to look for our dog that's ran into the yard. We're just walking to the Johnsons, getting our dog, bringing it back to our house, and relaxing. Thanks for coming, and we'll talk to you next time at Center for Self-Balance. Bye-bye.